Hello, we're going to continue our work in financial maths and we are going to be working on income tax today. So if we earn money, we are going to have to pay tax on that money so that the government has money to pay for schools and roads and electricity coming to people's houses and all of the other things that make life comfortable and possible. So when we're earning money, we need to give the government some of it so that they can afford to pay for all of the things that we need. Now, as an example, if we earn €50,000 a year, so if you're going for a job and they tell you how much you're going to earn in a year, this is the number that they're going to give you. This is the number they're going to quote you. So it's called the gross income. And for any of us who do French, we have gros is large. So this is the largest income because we haven't taken anything away from it yet. We're going to have to remove taxes away from this amount of money, but right now we haven't. So this is as big as the income number is ever going to be. And we're going to take stuff away from this in taxes. So this is our gross income. Our big income is €50,000. Now we're going to come back to what tax credit is when we come to it in the question, but for right now, we're going to use TC as its letters because we don't want to have to keep writing big English words. So TC is going to be tax credit and it's €2,000. Our percentage tax, well, we can guess what we're going to do here, is going to be 20%. So in part one, what I'd be asked for is the net tax or the tax payable. So let's go through our steps here. We've started out with a gross income, which I'm calling GI, and we're going to look for how much tax we have to pay on that income. And that's going to be our net tax or our tax payable. So we're going to start at part one, and we're going to be looking for our net tax or our tax payable. And net tax, sensibly enough, we might call NT, or tax payable we might call TP. And again, we don't want to have to keep writing big words. So we're going to abbreviate. We're going to use letters instead so we don't have to write so much English. So I'm going to call it net tax. We're looking for the net tax, which is the amount of tax we're going to have to pay. Now, we start off with a gross income. GI is €50,000. And we have to pay a particular amount of tax on that. We have to pay 20% tax. So our percentage tax is going to be 20%. Now we don't like to do maths with that. We're going to put it in our calculator. It's 20 over 100 is going to be 0.2. That's our percent of tax. Now, to get what's called the gross tax, the big tax, we're going to multiply, or effectively we're going to get 20% of our gross income. So we're going to get our gross income and we're going to multiply it by our percentage tax. Our gross income, and we're going to multiply it by our percentage tax. So if we are earning €50,000 and we have to pay 20% tax, we're going to get 20% of €50,000, and that's called our gross tax. And when we do that, we get €10,000. So that's called our gross tax. But I said I was looking for my net tax and my tax payable. Now, so we've got our gross tax, which was 20% of our income, of our gross income. And now here's where tax credit comes in. Because sometimes the government will do a calculation and they'll say, actually, I don't need 20% of your income. I can actually afford to do all of the things that the government wants to do without charging all of that money. And the tax credit is how much less tax you have to pay. So the tax credit is €2,000 in this case. It's not always €2,000, but it can be €2,000. And then our net tax, the tax that we have to pay, is going to be our gross tax that we just found, minus our tax credit. So it's going to be 10,000, the amount of gross tax, minus the tax credit, the money we don't have to pay. The government has said, we don't actually need all of this 10,000 that you are going to give us. We actually need 2,000 less. So the amount that I actually have to pay in tax is 8,000 euro. So that's the amount of money we actually have to pay in tax. The net tax is going to be our gross tax, which was just our percentage of our income, minus our tax credit, the amount of money the government says we don't need to pay in tax. So that's part one done. That's 8,000 euro is the amount of money we have to pay in tax. That's our tax payable, and it's also in the questions called net tax. Unfortunately, there are two names for it, even though it's the same thing. Now, part two, we're asked for the net income or the take-home pay. Now, take-home pay is the easier one to understand, I think. Take-home pay is the pay you get to take home, how much money you end up with in your pocket. The net income or the net pay is the same thing. It means how much money you get to take home when all of your charges, when all your taxes have been taken away. So with that, you might be able to figure out what it's going to be. Our net income, which I'm going to call NI, net income, is going to be our gross income, the amount of money we started out with, minus the amount of tax we have to pay, which is our net tax. So our net income is going to be the 50,000 euro that we started with, minus what we just found out, our 8,000 euro that we have to pay in tax. So this is all the tax we have to pay. This is all the money we started out earning. And then we're going to take them away and find out how much money we get to keep. And when we put that into our calculators, we get 42,000 euro. And we don't forget our euro signs because we're talking about money. So that's all we need for income tax. You can see that the maths involved is very straightforward, but we have to be able to tell ourselves the story of the steps. So we're going to start out with a particular amount of gross income. We're going to find out the gross tax, which is just going to be 20% of that. Then we're often going to take away our tax credit because it's money the government says we don't have to pay. That'll give us our net tax, or the amount of tax we actually have to pay. And then to find out how much money we get to take home, our net income, that's going to be the money we started with, our gross income, minus the amount of tax we have to pay, our net tax. And that will leave us with the money we get to take home in our pocket. And that is what we need for income tax.